Right then, boys, here we go. Are absolutely flying in. So let's get straight into it and let's cover it. So this has just dropped literally right now, right? So Jackson to Bayern is back on. So Bayern and Chelsea seal new agreement for Nicolas Jackson deal. Loan plus buy clause with new element of obligation to buy included in the deal for 2026 as Chelsea wanted. So Jackson's already agreed a 5-year deal, 15 mil loan fee. I did see Fabrizio just updated it now as well. So he is going with a 16.5 loan fee. So we get an extra million and a half or whatever that's worth, right? But I think it's important. We've got this sealed now, and we've got the obligation clause in there. So we're not too sure, right, of what the actual deal is. It could be if he potentially hits certain goals or biometrics, right? So if he gets 10 goals, 15 league goals, something like that, then it becomes an obligation and they have to buy him. Or obviously, if he has a really poor season and he doesn't hit any of the targets that's put onto the contract, right, then Bayern don't have to buy him and he comes back to us. But at least we're getting 16 mil for the season. And hopefully they can get him permanently as well. I don't want him to come back to Chelsea next season and lose value, and then hopefully, like a Saudi club or something like that has to bail us out. I'd like him to have a good season, and I'd like Bayern to buy him permanently, and then that's just more cash coming into the club, right? So remains to be seen what exactly we'll do now with this, right? So we know we've recalled Mark Gay. Is that enough? For me, no. We couldn't start for Sunderland, and now we're expected him to come in and start for us when Delap's injured. I think it's taken a risk, and considering we've just got back into the Champions League after a couple of years, we won the Club World Cup. Just look what Liverpool are doing, right? They didn't just sign Ekateke. They went out and they've got Isaac as well. Like, they're really strengthening in these attacking positions. And I feel like we've kind of taken one step forward, two steps back. I don't really see us. We haven't strengthened. We've gotten rid of Jackson, and who have we brought in it instead of him? No one. We just cancelled someone's loan. So for me, that's not really improving, making the squad stronger. So we'll move on to this now as well. So Tyrique George has a deal agreement with Fulham. So deal for 19-year-old winger worth 22 million plus sell-on clause. I think it's about 20-30% sell-on clause, which is really good, but what we wanted, right? So he's off to Fulham for 5 years. It was rumoured he could go and join Roma, right? And Leipzig were also interested, but it looks like he's decided to go with Fulham. Makes sense. It's the same area, right? Chelsea, Fulham's right next to each other. And he gets to stay in London. So for me, this is a good sale. Hopefully, he does well. We got the sell-on clause with him as well. So, what's this? Just got some more news. Okay, loan fee of 14 million for Jackson, obligation to buy for 56 million. Okay, so that's what we've just come in. So obligation 56 million for Jackson. So we did drop our price, considering we were asking for 70, 80 million, right? So that's what's just dropped now. Obviously, because the Here We Go just came, I wanted to cover it, and we're still getting drip-fed information. So Jackson gone, Tyrique George gone. A few more players we need to move on, right? Chilwell needs to move on. Apparently, we might sell him to Strasbourg. We'll see what happens there, but we did sell one of the academy boys there as well, but I think he might be going on loan to Swansea, right? We also need to get rid of Sterling. Sterling potentially could go on loan to Fulham. I know that's been explored. The Sassy, we still need to move on. That Fofana is another name we need to move on. So hopefully we can focus on getting rid of these players. Obviously, we got Mark Guay back to Chelsea from Sunderland. So look, we've got him back. It's an okay third choice striker, right? Damasio is just reporting now Chelsea are considering a move for Santi Jimenez. For me, no. For me, no. It's all popping off now, isn't it? Let me just refresh the timeline. Here we go. Okay, Chelsea considering a move for Santi Jimenez. Damasio, and he's tier 1 over in Italy, right? I mean, it's better than what we've got, right? Immediately, I'm thinking it's not much of an upgrade, but I guess if we can get him in, and he's okay with just being a rotation option, it's not a terrible signing. I don't think he's a great striker. He doesn't really move the needle for me, but if it's prepared with the other options we've got and it's deadline day, I think this is better than nothing. Personally, I would still like to us to sign a creative 10. It looks like we're not moving on with Fermin Lopez, right? So this deal's collapsed. We just bid 40 million and decided to withdraw from the negotiating, so I don't really understand that. So Fermin Lopez is over. Maybe next summer we come in and we try and get him and we splurge a bit more money. But it's looking like this saga's done, which is disappointing for me. I want another 10. You know, if Palmer's injured and we're going to play João Pedro number 9, I don't trust Buonanotte starting and playing every game for us in that 10 position. He wasn't even a main player at Brighton. We expect him to be a main player at Chelsea. That's what I mean. It doesn't really seem like we've really strengthened, right? So this is the sort of strongest lineup I think we can go with. Obviously, Colwell's not here because he's out for the season, right? So after the international break, this is what I expect us to look like. Obviously, Palmer should be back, right? So João Pedro, Palmer, Estevao, Neto, Fernandes, Caicedo is the pivot, Cucurella, Tosin, Chalobah, James, and Sanchez. This is what I think our strongest 11 is. And then a completely rotated 11 would be Delap, Buonanotte, Gittins, Garnacho, Santos, Asugo, Hato, Champion, Fofana, Gusto, and Jorgensen. Oh, what's happening now? Okay, Fabrizio saying we're not interested. What is going on? I mean, this is just deadline day for you, right? Let's have a look. Okay. So Chelsea aren't interested in Santiago Jimenez. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what that's about. Maybe Damasio's agent is trying to get him some interest. Well, that lasted a grand total of 2 minutes. We were interested for 2 minutes, apparently. Okay, so this isn't happening. Back to the rotated 11 anyway. So this is a completely rotated 11. So if you look at these two teams, do you think this is strong enough to compete in 4 competitions? And this isn't including some of the academy players, right? So Shimwaka could get some minutes. Obviously, we've got Mark Gay. And there's a few other options, right, on the wings. But this really is the strongest sort of backup team we've got who can fill in. Right, and Garnacho will primarily probably be on the left, but they can interchange. So depending on the opposition, that's what the lineup could be like. And obviously Neto can play on the right as well. But immediately I'm seeing some flaws, and the 2 flaws are that 10 position. I think, you know, with Palmer out, yes, we can move João Pedro down here, and he can play that position perfectly fine. He's obviously capable of doing that, right? And then with the Delap injury as well, we've only got Mark Guay. So I'd like us to bring in a 9. I think it's the sensible thing to do. We need to strengthen. We can't just be reactive and just hope Maresca can pull a miracle. I'd like us to be aggressive in the market. Look at what Liverpool are doing. You know, really strengthening their team. And if they didn't perform, they were sold. And yes, we're great sellers, but for whatever reason, it just seems like we haven't been very aggressive or positive in the transfer market. You know, Buonanotte on loan for me doesn't move the needle. Yes, he's talented. He's got a decent shot on him, right? Like, he's a technical player, but it's not like a Fermin Lopez caliber type of player. He's not as good as Xavi Simons. So if we were after Xavi Simons for 6 weeks, then why have we settled for this guy on loan? You know. So for me, the team does look, you know, considerably weaker. So yeah, I don't know who we're going to go for. We've got 4 hours left, right? 4 hours. And names are going to keep popping up like we saw with Santiago Jimenez. But apparently we're not interested. For me, I'd like us to, let's focus on getting a 9 and a 10. And if I'd personally prioritise a 10, I don't want Buonanotte as the second choice attacking midfielder, regardless if João Pedro can play there. I want, you know, an actual, you know, Champions League caliber player. That's who we should be bringing in, not someone who's second choice at Brighton on loan. That doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. Some people might disagree, but that's my opinion. But otherwise, our team is strong. I'm not like, you know, I'm not crying. And look, we still got a strong team. No, João Pedro, Delap, Palmer, hopefully another 10. Neto /Gittins /Garnacho, Estevao / Neto / Garnacho. So look, we've got good options. You know, Fernandez or Andre Santos here, Caicedo or Sugo here, Reece James and Gusto, Cucurella and Hato. And we do lack maybe like a left-sided centre-back now with Colwell being injured, but it's clear we're not going to go out and get someone, right? They've made that known, even though Maresca did say he wanted a Colwell replacement. Sporting director said no, work with what you've got. So for me, I do think we're slightly weak in that position. Like, yes, Hato can play there, but again, he's just come into a team. He's a young player. To me, like, mistakes are going to happen there, right? So let's see what happens. That's the immediate news so far. I'm going to quickly go to the gym, do an upper session, chest, back, arms, bit of cardio. Then I'm sprinting home because the deadline is at 7 p.m, right? So I might start up a stream, just see if anything happens. I'm sure things are going to keep kicking off. Come on, Chelsea, let's get a 10. Let's get a 10. We're not getting Fermin Lopez. We didn't get Xavi Simons. There's another player out there. We need to go out and get one. And if we don't get a 10, let's get a 9. But for me, we need to bring in either a 9 or a 10. Ideally both, but I don't think we're going to do that. And I don't think we have the funds either. But selling-wise, yes, we've been good. A few more outgoings we still need to focus on, right? You know, Sterling, Disasi, players like that. But otherwise, come on. Let's not leave Maresca with a somewhat weakened squad. You know, it doesn't make sense for Jackson to leave and not bring a replacement in. You can't tell me Bonotti's Jackson's replacement. So, that's the news for today, boys. I'll see you in a couple hours, transfer deadline, and then we'll do an overall recap as well. So, peace, boys.